Hali, és mit csinálsz webkamra? Jézus, rossz irányba. Így, nem? Így, most jó. Kicsit elmozdult az állvány. Folytassuk a Dragon Age-et. Ugye ott tartottunk tegnap, hogy kijöttünk végre az enyészletből és felszabadítottuk a körmáguszokat. Szóval 3-ból 1 végre csatlakozott hozzánk és az ügyünkhöz. Úgyhogy szeretnél Discord? Nagyon helyes. Bocsánat. Szóval ott tartottunk, és most megyünk vissza a Redcliffe-be, Connort itt megszabadítsuk a démonjaitól, ami így elég furán hangzik, és tegnap leszettem, illetve megvettem, és le is szedtem a kiegészítőket, amik nem voltak meg, mert láttam, hogy őrületesen le volt árazva original, úgyhogy remélhetőleg csináltam a mentésre egy biztonsági mentést, de remélhetőleg nem cseszte szét. Mindjárt átváltam nektek is a képet. Jó, tökéletes. Igen, most tölti fel őket. Hát láttuk, ezt a 2-t betöltötte, ami volt. Mert nem tudom, ebből kaptam. Hogy ez hogy működik. Minden esetre, mielőtt Redcliffe-be megyünk, szerintem meg kéne állnunk pihenni a táborunkba. Mert rohadtul ránk férne, mert itt a kapcsolati szinteket is növelgetném.
I wish I could have gone with them to fight.
My men have scouted the tower. It's a mess, but the abominations are gone. You are very thorough. I'm impressed.
Hát, mit Simon? A kör pillanatokon belül megint a régi lesz.
In no time? Doubtful. But it doesn't hurt to be optimistic sometimes. I shan't keep you then. Farewell.
It is begun.
Wow, szerintem ez új. Vagy világot ott vagyunk? Most nem mehetsz tovább. Jó, akkor először menjünk. What?
The Blight. How will you end it?
Hogyan vetünk neki véget? Nem tényleg meghűl. Hízanak nézek már rá. Nem. De mégis valahogy olyan világ. Vagy csak annyira sötét, hogy a kontraszt. Mert szemlet elég sötét most itt. Hát harcolnunk kell a vezérdémon ellen.
Is that all? It is surrounded by an ocean of darkspawn. How will you reach it? If you reach it, how will you slay it? You say you are a Grey Warden. I have heard stories of this order.
Mi hírt hallottál?
Great strategists and peerless warriors. That is what we hear of the Wardens. So far, I am not impressed.
Ja, hát bocsánat. Hát csak újat vagyok a kavarások között.
Will you make that excuse to the Archdemon, or the victims it claims in the meantime?
Jó van, már nem kell ennyire elítélni. Jézusom, Isten. Előbb odaadjuk az ajcsikat. Mármint, ha megtalálom. Meg lehet, hogy odaadtam.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice. No, bad. Bad idea. Awful. Don't do it. Is that for me?
Wow.
Really? Wow. Wow.
Tessék. Igen.
What? You found Flemeth's grimoire? Ever since we discovered the condition of the Mage's Tower, I had wondered if it might be recoverable, but I had yet to speak of it to you. How fortunate that you found it on your own. You have my thanks. I will
Nagyon
begin.
szívesen. Ezt egyszer mindig be kell játszani az elején, ezt nem értem amúgy. Szerinted mit tudsz meg belőle?
Secrets. My mother has many of them, and this tome represents the one time that they were able to get away from her. I do not intend to squander this opportunity to learn more than Flemeth wished me to know. This should be interesting.
Ó, küldetés. Majd beszélünk vele is.
Flowers? For me? They smell lovely, and there's something so familiar about them. These were my mother's flowers. She would sprinkle the dry petals amongst her clothes. Oh, they smell just like her. Thank you so much.
Nagyon helyes. Jézusom, plusz 17. Beteg. De összevegy. Nincs több ajándékom.
You know, maybe this isn't the best time to be thinking about this, but I have something to ask you.
What?
Chances are we'll be heading to Denerim soon. And when we're there, I wonder if we might be able to
Ja,
look someone up.
majd reménykedtem másba. Van olyan barátod, aki nem szürke kamara?
I'm not talking about a friend, exactly. And no, it's not that sort of friend either.
Jézusom,
thing
felrúgom
is-
az asztalt.
I have a sister, a half-sister. I told you about my mother, right? She was a servant at Redcliffe Castle and she had a daughter. Only I never knew about her. I don't think she knew about me either. They kept my birth a secret after all. But after I became a Grey Warden, I did some checking and, well, I found out she's still alive. In Denerim.
Felvett... Nem, legyen inkább egy nagyszerű híre.
She's the only real family I have left. The only family not also mixed up in the whole royal thing. I've just been thinking that maybe it's time I went to see her. With the blight coming and everything, I don't know if I'll ever get another chance to see her. Maybe I can help her. Warn her about the danger, I don't know.
Megpróbálhatjuk, ha akarod.
Could we? I'd appreciate that. If something happened to her and I never went to at least see her, I don't know if I could forgive myself. Her name is Goldana, and I think she remarried but still lives just outside the alienage. If we're in the area, then, well, it's worth a look. Here, look at this. Do you know what this is?
Rózsa.
I picked it in Lothering. I remember thinking, how could something so beautiful exist in a place with so much despair and ugliness? I probably should have left it alone, but I couldn't. The Darkspawn would come and their taint would just destroy it. So I've had it ever since.
Milyen gesztus volt?
I thought that I might give it to you, actually. In a lot of ways, I think the same thing when I look at you.
Jézusom. Zavarba hodol el itt erre. Köszönöm, Alistair, gyönyörű gondolat.
I'm glad you like it. I was just thinking, here I am doing all this complaining, and you haven't exactly been having a good time of it yourself. You've had none of the good experience of being a Grey Warden since your joining. Not a word of thanks or congratulations. It's all been death and fighting and tragedy. I thought maybe I could say something. Tell you what a rare and wonderful thing you are to find amidst all this darkness.
Úristen, én ugyanígy értek irántad.
I'm glad you like it. Now, if we could move right on past this awkward, embarrassing stage and get right to the steamy bits, I'd appreciate it.
Jól hangzik, akkor leadod a páncéllel. Jézusom!
Bluff called. Damn, she saw right through me.
Miért kell, hogy blöff legyen?
Well, it doesn't have to be a bluff. Well, I suppose we are in the camp. The tent's right over there. This is true.
Classic BioWare moves. Akkor hát, ez a legjobb pillanat.
I'll be standing over here until the blushing stops, just to be safe. You know how it is.
Hogy állunk Alistairre egyébként? 59. Wow. Jó. Úgyhogy, hüppe.
I once heard a really old legend about how the Hound warriors in the days of the old tribes would feed their Mabari the flesh of the vanquished. Well, that's what I heard anyway. It would sometimes be human flesh.
Jaj, segély.
Oh, like you can tell the difference. For all you know, maybe you've already been fed something. Someone.
Szegény kutyus. Alistair, állj már le. Itt nem etetnék veled ember.
It's not cannibalism if he's eating it, you know.
Na, Liliana.
Yes?
Beszélni szeretnék veled.
Well, here I am.
Mit kerestél Lotharingbe?
What is meant by someone like me?
Hát nem a kolostorban mentek engem?
Did you think I was always a cloistered sister? The Chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed.
És előtte mit
I
csináltál?
was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
Ki? Az kicsit. Ja.
It's been a long day. Rest would be welcome.
Jó vagy?
Yes, of course. I am just a little weary. As you may have noticed, I'm no spring chicken.
Fogadok, hogy van még némi élet azokban a vénycsontokban.
Thank you. You're very kind to say so. But in all honesty, I do not know how many years I have left in me. I have lived for such a long time, but there is always something else to do. And I have to keep going in order to do it. I think I will be glad when I am done.
Én beszélj ilyesmiket, még szükségünk van rám.
Oh, no. I'm not the sort of person that leaves things unfinished. I'll see this through, I promise.
Talán nem beszéljünk még.
Yes.
Volt egy kérdés.
I am hardly surprised.
Miért jöttél Fereldonba?
To answer a question.
Ali, neked is boldog új év. És mi volt a kérdés?
The Arishok asked what is the blight. By his curiosity, I am now here.
Mi az az arisok?
The one who commands the Antam, the body of the Kunari.
Miért érdekli őt a veszedelem?
Why do you?
Fürkekamarás vagyok, ez a dolgom.
Exactly. You don't ask, nor do I. The Arishok sends me and I go.
És megtaláltad a választ a kérdésedre?
A portion of it.
És mi a válasz?
Were you not at Ostagar when the army was overwhelmed? That is your answer.
Rendben, ezt a témát egyelőre ejtjük.
Parshera. Was there anything else?
Itt műveltél a ketteredben?
Sitting, as you observed.
Szerintem álltál, de mindegy. Hát nem erre gondoltam.
It's what you asked.
Nem igazán kedvelsz, igaz?
Warden, if I truly disliked you, I would leave. That I am still here, you may interpret however you choose.
Hát rendben, akkor ezt egyedül hagyjuk.
Parshera. Was there anything else?
Meg szeretnék vitatni veled valamit, amit korábban említettél.
Speak then.
Egyelőre hagyjuk.
Then I suggest we move on.
Menjünk.
As you wish.
Na, Morrigan, elolvastad a könyvet? Szóval Tabi ki tudja azt, és megnézzük meg a szandálikat.
What do you wish of me?
Kérdezni szeretnék valamit.
If you must.
Meg tudsz tanítani másokat az alakváltásra?
By others, do you mean yourself?
Lehet?
Then I shall teach you what I can whenever we are in camp, provided you have the will to even make the attempt, that is. What do you wish of me? If you must.
Mikor Karivadonban nőttél fel?
Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I?
Ha akarnád, megtehetnéd.
Oh, what luck. What is it you asked if I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness.
Mindig visszatértél a vadonba.
Would you not do the same? Your world is an unforgiving and cold place. The wilds I hail from is home to me, and I a natural denizen. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for.
Nem tudom képzelni.
I rather doubt that. Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be travelling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested.
Nem kellene meglepődnöm azon, hogy jól hazudt.
I do not know how well I lie, but I will do whatever I must in order to survive. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
Ez egy nagyon jó kérdés. Nem tudom, én nem vagyok ember.
Do not speak to me of trivialities. Your culture is not so entirely different. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes, how to eat at a table, how to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again.
Örülök, hogy sikerült ezt megbeszélni.
Yes? Let's ignore the entire Darkspawn threat and the presence of a simpleton as your only other Grey Warden ally, then. Not that I lack appreciation for the intent of your comment. Thank you. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
A könyv érdekel amúgy.
If you must.
Szemet valóban az, aminek látszik.
Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
Ember egyáltalán?
Oh, she certainly was human. Once. Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
Tudtam, hogy van ilyen mese.
Ah, I see. That does explain much. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
Ez érdekesen hangzik.
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
Milyen rég lehetett ez?
Many centuries, before this land was even named
Wow.
Ferelden. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the Dreadlord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord, who looked on from afar. Lord Conabar
Facilitad.
approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
Eladta a feleségét egy másik férfi.
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conabar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
Kérde szellemekkel, vagy talán démonokkal?
Spirits first, and 'twas they who slew Conabar. Flemeth did not turn to the demon until much later. Lord Conabar's allies chased Flemeth, you see, chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
Melyik része nem igaz? A támadás, vagy az, hogy legyőzték?
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords, Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the Great War with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
Hogy élhetett Clement ilyen sokáig?
The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
Legenda szerint Clementnek sok lánya volt.
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
Miért nem beszél
The
róluk?
Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well.
Érdekes történet volt. Köszönöm.
Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
Nem sok mindent tudok mondani róla.
I see. I find myself a little envious, to tell the truth. But it matters not. Let us move on. What do you wish of me? If you must.
Lehet tenni hát valamit egy megszállott mágusért. What?
'Tis the child abomination you speak of from the haunted castle?
Yeah.
If what you seek is to remove the demon from the child without harming the child, there is a way indeed. There is a connection between the child and the demon, one which can be followed to the demon's true form within the Fade. There, the demon can be battled directly. Only a mage may enter the Fade. It requires lyrium and a group of mages to cast the ritual, neither of which we have, yes? And
Yes.
had we those things, it would still fall on one mage alone to defeat the demon. No simple task, but there you have it. What do you wish of me?
Valami személyes dologról szeretnék kérdezni.
We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
Nem lényeges. Oké, akkor még nem néztem meg a könyvet. Na, nézzük. Beszéljünk ezzel.
The Circle of Magi stands ready to assist, Grey Warden, as do the Templars of the Chantry.
Van szükséged valamire?
There are always areas to improve on, Grey Warden. The most useful for my talents are runes.
Te ki vagy?
You're a hard woman to find. Where are my manners? The name is Levy, Levy Dryden. Did Duncan ever mention me? Levy of the coins? Levy the trader?
Ricsi vagyok, sosem hallottam rólad.
Really? He never told you of old Levy? We've known each other for years. But here I am carrying on while you have a blight to stop. Don't want to waste your time. But you see, Duncan promised that together we'd look into something important for the Wardens. And for me. But poor Duncan's... well, no more. A tragedy it is, at that.
Does he
But I
like
know
us?
he would want his work carried on. His pledge fulfilled.
Mit ígért neked, Duncan?
My family, well, past a bit checkered to see. Nobles look at us with disdain. My great-great-grandmother, Sophia Dryden, was the last warden commander of Ferelden back when the wardens were known as freeloaders. So King Arlen banished the wardens and he took House Dryden's land and titles.
Mi történt azután?
Hard to say. After King Arlen died, there was a civil war, loads worse than this one. And our family was on the run, hunted by enemies, with nary a friend in the world. But Drydens are tough. We rebuilt, became merchants, and we never lost our pride.
Találkozom, hogy megtartottad a neved, de én is milyen szívességet kértél Duncan-től.
Ask for the truth. My family reveres Sophia Dryden. We know she died at the old Grey Warden base, Soldier's Peak. We want evidence to clear her name. It won't restore our land or our titles, but it'll restore our honor.
Értem, nem hallottam még erről a helyről.
Well, no one's been to Soldier's Peak since Arlen's days. At least none that's come back. I spent years mapping the maze of tunnels to the peak, and I found the way a few years back. So I went to Duncan, I did, and I said that he could reclaim the old base and my family could have its honor.
Duncan miért nem segített neked?
Darkspawn surfaced in southern Ferelden, and Duncan got plenty busy recruiting new wardens and meeting with good King Caelan. Duncan said he would help after the Battle of Ostagar. Said there might be useful things at the peak, but he never had the chance.
Jó, oké, segítek neked.
1,000 blessings upon you, Warden. I'll mark down the location on your map. When you arrive, we'll pick our way through the tunnels together.
Ki?